Alright, so I have this book, Friendly Ambitious Nerd. I'm proud of it. I'm embarrassed by it because it feels so amateurish compared to what I'm capable of now. But I'm like, oh, the thing I want to do that's so much better. It needs to be such a leap forward in order to merit announcing. And do I wanna, or maybe I could just soft launch it and soft launch an update from 1.0 to 1.05. But it doesn't sound very exciting, doesn't sound very fun. So I do have a bias for excitement. And so, anyway, the point of that is I am working through articulating vectors in the book more strongly. And so, friendly, ambitious nerd, right? I've decided that the most critical part of the friendly complex is practice good reply game, which is being good at responding to people in a way that makes them feel good, makes them feel safe, comfortable, just creating good social environments, creating and being good friends with yourself, taking care of yourself, making yourself comfortable, making other people comfortable. That's the essence of friend, right? And there's all these extra stuff that's the main thing that I feel of all of the stuff in the friend complex. I think good reply game is the most important thing. For ambition, I have a video that says ambition is not about accolades, it's not about prestige, it's about giving a shit, wanting to give more of a shit, and even almost being cursed slash blessed with giving a shit because it's this emotional thing. And wanting to express your values at the highest possible level in the widest possible way, whichever of those is kind of more right for you based on your personality. And I feel that the most strong point in the ambition complex is do 100 things, and I have a video on that as well. Do 100 things, and why does that work? Why does that help people build a body of work, have a story to tell, connect with other people? It's all kinds of wonderful goodness in do 100 things. I have 2 videos about that. And then the last thing is nerd. And what is it to be a nerd? And I've changed my mind about this over time. Like I went back and scrolled through my videos and looked for what I said for nerd in the video that I made in 2020, and I said, what do nerds do? They make stuff. Kind of true. But I would now reframe that. I now define nerds as a nerd is someone whose behavior is directed by their curiosity. And the more of your behavior is directed by your curiosity, the bigger of a nerd you are. So, like huge nerds, what they do is they make like career changing decisions or like social life changing decisions to pursue their curiosity. So, an example of a huge nerd might be someone who, travels to the Amazon rainforest to study some rare species of butterfly or something, or just make a project your life to figure stuff out. Like that's big nerds. And you don't need to be a huge nerd, you can just be a little nerd, right? Just being curious, asking questions. Anyway, so I think the most important point in the nerd complex is I'm currently framing it as inhabit curiosity. Well, that maybe I'll go with that, but I'm going to say inhabit questions. And so, why use questions instead of curiosity? Are they the same thing? Are they not? Well, I believe that the most useful directives, instructions, right, give you actions that you can step into and do stuff that, so do 100 things is very straightforward. And if I say be ambitious, embody embody ambition, pursue, be bold, whatever, like, yeah, and I do say be bold, but the thing is, when I say do 100 things, that's like, it's, what does Popper say? Falsifiable. You can tell whether or not you've done 100 things. And with reply game, good reply game, you can tell whether or not you have practiced good reply game. Some replies are kind of murky, but when you've done a good reply because it feels good, they feel good, everything's improved. And similarly, some people say cultivate curiosity, embody curiosity. Nice, but how do you know when you're doing it? And I believe that that you're cultivating curiosity when you're asking questions. And it's not just about, so again, you can come up with a whole list of questions. I would say that's good, but maybe not necessarily good by itself. The most common, some of the common failure modes for nerds are over-indexed on inquiry-based ways of being. So I think inquiry is great. A lot of people stand to benefit from being more curious, but there is a failure mode at the far end where, and I think people on Twitter, people on YouTube as well, maybe you might fall too far into this trap where you're just asking so many questions and you never do anything about it. And that's kind of dangerous because you can get sucked into this world of the mind, right? And in King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, that's the magician's failure mode, right? So a magician, ideally, you'd say, can make wonders happen with their knowledge. Knowledge is power. But The cursed magician, it becomes neurotic and about information seeking, knowledge hoarding, and you're just kind of like, I need to know the secret things, and you get tormented by your curiosity. It's a powerful thing, curiosity, right? And curious nerds split atoms, create TNT, dynamite, bombs, anything powerful that you create through your understanding of the world, of the universe, of the materials, and of psychology, whatever. When you get to deeper understandings, that with that power comes responsibility, right? And you have to know how to use it. And I feel that the friend complex is a lot about learning to deal with that, but that's a topic for the book, right? But okay, what I mean by inhabit questions. So Richard Feynman has this great quote where he says that he talks about problems. He says, have like a dozen problems that you care about and you're curious about, and you just kind of keep them in your mind, and you kind of, every time you encounter something new and interesting, you kind of corroborate the thoughts, the ideas, the input, whatever, with the existing problems that are in your mind. And every so often, one of them will make a little breakthrough or something, and then you share it with the world. And everyone's like, "Oh wow, this guy's such a genius! How did he connect those dots?" Same for Steve Jobs said that curiosity is just connecting things, and connecting the dots, right? What are dots? It's just different data points, different perspectives, different ideas, different things, right? Different ways of seeing, blah blah blah. And you just connect the dots by having the things near each other and then saying, hey, how do these two things relate to each other? When this changes, how does this change? What happens when you introduce this? What happens when you remove that? What happens if you turn it inside out, outside in, upside down, backwards, forwards, twist, larger, smaller, faster, slower, whatever? All the principles of remixing we've applied to perspectives, questions, ideas. And so I think all that's good. But I guess I say when Feynman says problems, I think every problem implies a question. Like, so you say, I have a problem of global warming, climate change. All right. There's an implied question. What are we going to do about it? How does it work? How does it happen? How can it be stopped? How do we we need massive human coordination to stop that. How are we going to coordinate? How does coordination currently happen? Who are the people who are good at coordinating? How do we coordinate 10x more, 100x more faster so that we can, represent people? What are the failures of democracy or the failures of representation? How are we not doing things right? Why is it not working? And how can we, are people despondent? Do they have learned helplessness? How do we encourage people to take actions that can make a difference? Every problem implies a bunch of questions, right? There's engineering problems, which is how do we reduce the cost of batteries? How do you do that? It's then you start listing out the variables, the cost of this thing is this because the package is this, whatever. You can dig into it, but yeah, that's not a but. It's cool. That's a good thing. I think it's a good thing to have a bunch of questions around. I guess assuming that you have the ability to navigate them well. And I guess a lot of social reality is actually set up to regulate curiosity. There's a lot of words that are negatively associated with curiosity. Busybody, nosy Parker. A lot of it's in the social realm. Why do you want to know so much? Why do you care? Why are you asking all these questions? It's very inconvenient. You're just asking questions. And that is a phrase that people use when they are malicious, right? They say, oh, I'm just asking questions, but they're actually politically motivated and trying to discredit something, which is sad, because when those bad actors exist, the doubt that people have on bad actors and on questions extends to good actors as well. And so the challenge for good actors, and I have a separate tweet about this somewhere, is that any sufficiently powerful nerd will need to develop the skills of kinship, friendship, good reply game, charisma, right? Being able to reassure people that you mean well, and being able to build rapport so that you see that when I'm asking questions, I'm not trying to fuck with you. I'm trying to get to know you and trying to understand. And some people just feel like even being understood is potentially dangerous, right? Because the people who know you well who can hurt you the deepest. Fair enough, So there's an opt-in element to it where I'm not going to intrude and interrogate someone who doesn't want to be questioned. It's fine. No pressure, no. There are other people who want to participate in the spirit of mutual inquiry, asking each other questions, learning stuff about each other, helping each other out, learning to minimize the damage that we do to each other inadvertently, and questioning our motivations, understanding. Again, it's more inquiry, not less, right? So the path of less inquiry is suspicion, taboos, right? Like kind of, don't talk about politics at dinner table. Actually, understandable. I know why it exists, and you have to be sensitive to what contexts allow for what. That's again the friend complex. This video is getting on quite a bit, but my point is inhabiting questions, right? Like, so build a mind palace, build a nexus of questions about everything that interests you. And I found, when I was a teenager, I was very interested in very grand questions. What's the nature of the universe? Is there extraterrestrial life? What's the meaning of life? And they're great questions to play with, And as I got older and I was like working, trying to pay the bills, and I'm like, how do I be less miserable all the time, right? How do I not wake up feeling so tired and stressed? And I started caring about very instrumental questions like, how do I breathe better? How do I release the tension in my chest? How do I be fit and healthy and happy? And how do I make friends? There's all these questions that are tied to experience, right? Tied to things that will make your life better moment by moment, so that you can, and what's the point of that, right? Like, I think some people get carried away with the short-term optimizations, and then it's like, well, these things feel good, so I'll do more of it, and that also feels good. And then you kind of get carried away with it. I think there's some threshold at which it might not, you get diminishing returns. And then I guess, how do you sustain that? How do you help other people? How do you, just more and more questions, this never-ending list of questions to inhabit, and it's a joy to inhabit. That's the joy of the nerd, and that is the splendor of the magician archetype, right? Inhabit questions. Let me know if you have questions in the comments, right? I will hang out and we will chat. Done.